Good morning, YouTubers. Welcome to Double Clutch Auto Reviews. My name is Mark, and today I'll be reviewing my buddy Jesse's 2019 Ram Rebel 1500 Quad Cab 4x4. This 2019 is an all-new 5th generation Ram 1500, and the Rebel is the off-roading trim of the Ram lineup. This truck boasts a 5.7-liter Hemi V8, making 395 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque, made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission and 4-wheel drive. This truck's fuel economy is rated at 15 miles per gallon city, 21 miles per gallon highway, and 17 miles per gallon average overall. And just to note, this particular truck is not equipped with the optional e-torque hybrid powertrain add-on. The base price for the 2019 Ram Rebel 1500 Quad Cab starts just under $45,000, but with the options that this particular truck is equipped with, puts it just over $52,000. In my humble opinion, $52,000 is a little bit pricey for a half-ton pickup. However, from what I've seen and experienced with this truck already today, you are getting a decent amount of truck for your money. The new Ram lineup, including the Rebel, have been praised for being excellent all-around trucks. Between tech features, interior comfort, and driving capabilities, they have satisfied many individuals with their well-rounded design. Ram made it a point not to sacrifice luxury car ride quality for on or off-road performance. It does both very well. Except for one huge flaw: potential reliability issues. According to many forums I have read, there have been a few catastrophic failures with this truck at very low miles. Many people have complained that the transmission will go into drive but not come out of first gear. Others complain that the transmission suddenly won't even go into gear at all. All of these failures usually happening with very low miles, some as low as 200 miles on the truck. This is unacceptable build quality, and Chrysler needs to stand behind every one of those failures and fix them properly. I would say if too many of these failures occur, they certainly need to issue a recall. A second common issue that people have had is a sudden electronic power failure. People say it's as if the battery died, but it happens with a perfectly fine brand new battery. Apparently Chrysler says that it's an issue with the battery terminals. However, people say that the issue occurs again and again even after Chrysler claims they fix it. Like I said before, if this is a reoccurring problem, they need to issue another recall. With all of that aside, hoping reliability issues don't plague this truck, this Ram seems like a very capable, comfortable, and practical vehicle. Besides the potential early onset failures that I mentioned before, this truck has gotten great reviews for other exceptional qualities. In particular, its practicality, its sharp, aggressive looks, driving capabilities, and interior comfort. We'll start with the exterior up front with the newly designed front end. I really do love the look of this truck inside and out. I think Ram did a great job giving it a rugged, aggressive look, but also not going over the top. I think they did just the right amount of bold, masculine styling. I believe Ram's goal with building this truck was to compete with the Ford F-150 Raptor. I don't think the Ram 1500 Rebel is quite on the level of the Ford F-150 Raptor just yet. However, I think it's a good start for Ram to build off of this in the future. I do believe that the Rebel has proven itself worthy to be mentioned in the same sentence as the F-150 Raptor. I would certainly consider it to be in the same class of truck, and I would also consider it to be a competitor within the same market of potential buyers. I also think Jesse picked quite a nice color combination with a two-tone bright white on top and the black crystal pearl on bottom. Ram also didn't spare any cost on lighting and has LED lights all around. Also to note, the newly designed Ram 1500 has a stronger steel frame than its previous generation, yet it's 225 pounds lighter. Max payload has also increased to 2,300 pounds, and max towing has increased to 11,500 pounds. The Rebel is the off-roading trim of the Ram 1500, like I said before, so of course it has to be equipped with more off-roading capabilities, right? You'll notice that it has tow hooks up front, a skid plate, sharp-looking 18-inch wheels wrapped in beefier tires, as well as a stronger suspension with upgraded shocks. Moving under the hood, take a look at this honking 5.7-liter Hemi V8. What's surprising though is it's not as large as I was expecting. This engine bay surprisingly has quite a lot of extra room in here. Jesse and I were talking about how he potentially in the future might be upgrading this engine with possibly a supercharger or a procharger. There certainly would be enough room in here to fit it, I would say. Even more importantly, what's also very nice about what Chrysler did with this design is they left a lot of room to work on the vehicle. All of these modern cars that I've seen, everything's really tight and there's all this plastic covering everything, and it seems very hard to work on it and maneuver things around in the engine bay. This truck, there's a lot of room to work with your hands, not too much plastic covering it. I like it. Good job with that. Moving along to the side profile, I had to note that Jesse opted out for the black tubular side steps, make it a little bit easier to get in and out of the truck. And finally, moving on to the back, the 1500 Rebel has a 6-foot 4-inch bed with a dampened tailgate. Jesse also had this hardtop tonneau cover installed. With it all opened up, you'll notice that it's a good sized bed for a 4-door half-ton truck. A few of my favorite design aspects on the rear end of this truck are one, the exhaust. I love the big dual-tipped exhaust out of the back of this truck. I think it gives it a much more assertive presence when you look at the truck as a whole. Another thing I really like back here is the Rebel badge. I like the font and the black and gray color. I feel like it contrasts very well with this bright white paint. And of course, I can't forget to mention in this review, truck comes with remote start. Check it out. Push the button twice. Moving on to the interior, I think Ram did an excellent job with the interior design of this Rebel. Overall, the design of this truck inside and out is exceptional. The front seats are quite comfortable with good bolstering. I love the red trim pieces along the plastics and with the leather, especially in the gauge cluster. I think Ram did an excellent job making the Rebel's gauges look very nice. This truck suits its price tag with this interior build quality and attention to detail. This truck has heated front seats and a heated steering wheel. You can activate them by either pushing these buttons right on the center control stack, or you can go into the infotainment system and activate them there. You also cannot miss this huge center console. The armrest has two opening stages, one a more shallow tray and the second one a deeper one. The shallow tray also has a USB outlet. On the bottom of the second tray, you'll notice that it has a diagram of rulers and charts and conversion tables. I'm not exactly sure how someone would use this in a practical setting. However, I still think it's a neat little touch. It also says where this truck was designed, in Auburn Hills, Michigan. You'll also notice this center console has so much storage space. You can move this center piece back and forth. You can fit things below here or in this cubby right here. There's two cup holders. And you'll notice at the bottom of the center console, there's a little indicator for the max fill, so you know how much stuff you can put in there before it's too full that the moving piece in the center won't be able to move. That's great attention to detail, and I really like that. Very good ergonomics. And in the front of the bottom of the center console, you'll notice that it has a 115 volt outlet. So if you want, you can plug in an appliance in the front of your truck. There's also two more USB outlets up here, an aux jack and the CD receiver. I'll also note that this truck has 6 cup holders up front and 4 in the back, totaling 10 cup holders for a 5-passenger vehicle. Checking out the infotainment system, this truck has an 8.4-inch touchscreen, and in higher trim levels, you can get up to a 12-inch touchscreen in these trucks. The touchscreen seems to be pretty responsive to my touch and easy to figure out. There's also a little button right here to turn the screen off if you don't want to look at it. Down here, you have your traction control off button and your tow haul mode. Just above it, you have your climate controls, easy simple dials, air up and down, temperature up and down, and direction. You'll also note they have 2 glove compartments. And another thing I love about this truck is the electronic rear window. Buttons right here to open and close. Right here, you have your transmission lever, and it's just a little dial. It goes from park, reverse, neutral, drive. You also have your 4-wheel drive buttons down here, and your rear differential lock, and your hill descent control buttons. On the steering wheel, it has the cruise control buttons, the dash center screen control buttons, and the push to talk. You'll also note that there's a gear limit selector on the bottom right side of the steering wheel. I was driving this truck and I noticed that if you put it in a certain gear, it will stay in that gear. So for instance, let's say you're off-roading, you want to stay in 3rd gear to have good power and torque through corners, but you don't want the automatic transmission shifting up and down when you aren't expecting it to. You can keep it in a certain gear and it'll hold that gear while you're powering through corners on a dirt road. I think that's a nice feature. However, what's funny, on the back of the steering wheel, you'll note that it has little switches. I thought that these were paddle shifters to shift the transmission up and down gears. That is not correct. It's actually the volume and channel controls for the radio. So I'm driving and I'm pushing these buttons thinking I'm trying to shift the gears. I'm thinking, why isn't this working? And it's actually changing the radio stations. Last but not least, I have to mention this. A cool little startup graphic that the Rebel has. When you jump in and start the truck, it shows the Rebel logo, and then as the truck starts, it shakes as if it's the engine starting. I think that's a neat little touch. I really like that. I know it's not a super big deal. However, to me, it's the little things, and Ram did a good job with that. Just small little touches that make it that much more special. I also can't forget there's a button to electronically adjust the pedals to go up and down. And moving on to the back, I'll note that Ram didn't skimp on the quality of the materials used in the back seats. However, there really isn't that much leg room for a long trip if you're getting the quad cab. If you opt for the king cab, I can certainly see there being much more leg room for rear seat passengers. With the quad cab, it's good for a short trip, but I don't think I want to spend too much time back here. On the other hand, though, there are 4 cup holders for rear seat passengers, and there's a nice little storage tray with the climate control vents right here. All right, now let's jump behind the wheel of the 2019 Ram 1500 Rebel Quad Cab 4x4. I really do love the gauge cluster. I feel like it looks super nice for a truck like this. Really outstanding attention to detail with the build quality. Throw it in drive with my cylindrical gear selector. All right, and now we're rolling. Turn off traction control, of course. Right away, I'm blown away with how far trucks in general, and especially Chrysler, has come with their interior quality. Oh, it's dinging at me to put my seatbelt on. So I drive a 2001 Dodge Dakota, And of course, I know it's 18 years older. However, it's still crazy for me to see how far vehicles have come since then. Leaps and bounds ahead of that truck by far. Right away, I notice the ride is extremely smooth. The steering is very light. Definitely does not feel as trucky as you would expect. This big V8 is smooth, powerful, and the 8-speed transmission shifts very nicely. What's great about an 8-speed transmission is that you can have the lower gears set for a tighter gear ratio for strong, hard acceleration. Then the higher gears can be set up for getting great gas mileage on the highway. The visibility is also quite good. You would think that this prominence on the hood would affect its visibility up front, but it's really not too bad. And on the sides and in back, it really is good visibility for a truck. There's also a backup camera, so there's no problem backing up. In the dash center screen, you can cycle through various different displays: digital speedometer, screen setup, your messages, your radio, trip info, fuel economy. Right now, Jesse's getting about 13.8 average miles per gallon. It's kind of weird. I'm used to having like a column shifter with an automatic transmission truck, but this gear selector right here, something to get used to. I don't know if I personally like this, because I've heard there's problems with it, obviously, like I said before. It seems like automakers are all trying to come up with the coolest new gear selector mechanism. I'm not exactly sure why, but it seems to be a trend with automakers and their new designs. This truck really does ride nicely. You wouldn't expect it from an off-roading trim kind of a truck, but it really does. I think Ram did a great job of building a truck that not only satisfies with its performance capabilities, but also its ride quality. Thoroughly impressed. As you can see, it also has automatic folding mirrors. Push the button right by the window controls and voila. Just push the button again, they fold right back out. Oh yeah. That V8 picks up quick. Cruising on the highway, there's a little bit of tire noise and a little bit of road noise, but there's not too much wind noise. Overall, the truck is quite comfortable. I can see this being a workhorse, daily driver, and off-road fun toy. It's nice to see that automakers these days have done a great job of creating vehicles that can do everything in one. Turning radius is alright. Not bad, but not great. I guess typical of a truck. Bumps upset the truck a little bit in corners, but not too much. Another excellent quality of this truck's interior is just the vast amount of storage space. There's tons of storage space in here. I feel like I would never run out of places to put things. I'm not sure if I would want this truck as a long commuter vehicle, as if I had a long commute into work due to the bad gas mileage and whatnot. But since Jesse doesn't have a long commute into work, I feel like it fits him perfectly. It's got everything he wants. It looks sharp, it's rugged, off-road ready, practical, roomy interior up front, not so much in the back. He doesn't have kids or anything, so he really doesn't use the back seats for anything except for storage. Big V8 with lots of power, with a transmission with many gears to allow it to have strong acceleration. Certainly has plenty of power for this truck. I would love to see the power this thing puts out if Jesse ever supercharges this thing. Oh, I love the sound of a smooth V8. Steering isn't too bad for a half-ton pickup. It's composed and predictable. I don't know if I'd go so far to call it agile, but I would say the steering dwarfs the size of this truck. It really doesn't feel as large as it actually is. It's quite easy to drive. I would love to test the capabilities of this truck off-road, but Jesse said not to off-road it, so I have to honor his wishes, and I'm not going to do that. Maybe in another review with another truck. I really love the electronic rear window in the back. I wish my truck had that. The driving position gives you a nice commanding feel of the road, especially for only a half-ton truck. All right, getting off the exit now, coming in hot. Yeah, it handles the corner decently well. All right, here we go. I'm gonna open it up. Yeah, picks up speed very easily. Oh yeah. With this powertrain, there's no problem passing on the highway and getting up to speed. Overall, I'm very impressed with the truck. I really like it a lot. Between the ride quality, the interior comfort, the performance capabilities on and off-road, and the practicality aspects of this truck, I feel like Ram has done a nice job. The only major deterring factors for me about buying this truck would be the potential early onset failures and reliability issues, as I mentioned before. Keep my fingers crossed for Jesse. As long as something major breaks, I feel like this would be a great all-around truck that he could drive for many, many years. Every time I look down at the gauge cluster, I'm reminded all the little attention to detail that Ram put into this truck. The gauge cluster looks so much nicer than you would think out of a Dodge pickup truck. When you step on the throttle, you hear that big V8 sing. It's quite a nice sound. Then when you let off the throttle, it quiets right down and you're back to a luxury car interior. All right, let's give it some beans. Did a little slide right there. Woo! That was fun. God, I need a V8 in my life. Ah, smooth, strong acceleration. This truck is really easy to drive. It's very ergonomic, user-friendly. The controls are all simple and self-explanatory. I feel like I could drive this truck all day, no problem at all. Overall, it's easy to operate and feels very capable. It's a nice truck, it really is. I think it's worth the money. Certainly a competitor to the Ford Raptor. Not quite on that level yet, but getting there. All right, guys, thank you so much again for tuning in for another video. I really appreciate it so much. If you like my video, please give me a like. If you liked it even more, hit that subscribe button. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace. Come on, guy. Don't be a baby. Let's go.
Yeah, how many people have died at this turn?
Probably a lot. I should keep that in the video.
Yeah.